Hi, my name is Heidi Totten, and I'm the marketing director here at Wisdom Window, and I am so excited today to be interviewing Becky Mackintosh. Hi, Becky. How are you?
Hi, Heidi. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is going to be really fun. I've known Becky for about 1.5 years. She's a mother of 7 kids and 3 grandchildren, and she's had everything from goats and horses and rabbits, pigs, a whole farm. Yeah, she managed a whole farm, and she is here today to talk to us about how to create really powerful relationships using Ideal LifeVision. Now, Becky is one of the providers here at Wisdom Window and has been with us since the very beginning. She came on board at the very beginning, and she and her husband are teaching a program called Life Short Lessons. They speak all over and are very popular speakers, and people have a lot of fun with their sense of humor. So, yeah, so welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I'm excited to talk about Ideal LifeVision and with a focus today on the relationship part, because relationships are key to success in business and your family, and I mean they're key to happiness. If you're out of sorts with someone, it's hard to be happy and go through the motions of what needs to be done. So Ideal LifeVision is a way to strengthen those relationships, and I was thrilled when I first heard about the program and implemented it into my life and saw the results, and I'm excited to share that with people.
Awesome. Okay, well, so let's go back, because as I mentioned, you have 7 kids, and so I imagine that strengthening relationships and creating powerful relationships was really important to your family as your kids were growing up, because your youngest is now 17 and almost out of the house.
Yeah,
well,
we're almost.
Do they ever really leave? It doesn't seem like it these days. I know in my neighborhood, you know, my friends keep saying they keep coming back. So what's going on? So tell us about what it was like raising 7 kids, and because seriously, I was thinking about it this morning, and my aunt, I remember when she turned 50, and you're around 50, right?
Just past 50.
Just past 50. And I remember when my aunt turned 50, and honestly, I was like, wow, she's so old. Of course, I was in my 20s, but I don't think of you as old at all. You're so vibrant, and I mean, if I had raised 7 kids, I'd probably be taking a lot of naps, and I never see you nap. So, so tell us what it was like raising 7 kids and horses and ducks and everything.
You know, at the time, I'm glad I had all those kids and the farm when I was younger. I had a lot more energy than I do now, and I'm glad that I take it. At the time, it didn't seem as busy. You know, you just get into that routine. But I go back and I look at pictures with all my kids, and we had our first 5 in 6.5 years. So, you know, it seemed like forever that we had 2 in diapers and 2 in cribs, and then they're all in elementary together, and then they were all teenagers at the same time. And families are everything to me. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have time to do anything else but to keep track of my kids and get them to where they needed to be, and to keep my husband and I, the communication and closeness there, and didn't have time for anything else but focus on the relationships with my kids. Putting out fires, you know, when you have kids that are all 18 months to 2 years apart, and having to do a lot of sharing. You have to be able to get along and to work through struggles and challenges, and that's what we did. And living on a farm helped to keep them busy. Everyone had their chores, and as they graduated and moved out of the house, their chores became my chores, and so we started selling off the animals. So now we're down to just, you know, you can take care of the animals in 10 to 15 minutes as opposed to an hour with everybody helping.
Yeah, you know, I have 2 children, and this leads to my next question, but I have 2 children, and just keeping them busy is crazy. We homeschool, and so we're kind of constantly, I mean, they can get their schoolwork done in such a small amount of time that it's like, okay, what do we do the rest of the day? And you know, fortunately, we just moved to a house with a creek and a lot of weeds, so that's been helping. But talk to me about when you have 5 kids in such a short amount of time, how do you develop one-on-one relationships with each child? I mean, how was it that, what process did you go through in order to not just lump them all together and say, here's the horde, but understand them as individuals?
Exactly. And that was important to me. You know, I was the youngest of 5 kids, and so, you know, I had a lot of one-on-one time with my parents, as I was the youngest, and there's 12 years between me and my oldest, and a 2.5-year span between my brother, just older than me. So I know that's important, and it was a challenge, but I made it a point to every day to be able to take them one-on-one, and we read a lot of books. Mm-hmm. And when they're young, and sit them on your lap, but it's very important to talk to them, get down on their level, and listen to them. And at a very young age, it's important to establish that relationship and create a safe space for them to talk. And I know you are so good at that, Heidi, much better than I was when I had kids your age and their age.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, just keep that up of what you're doing, because as they get older and they get into the teenage stage, if you've already created that safe space for them, and they know they can trust you and they can share things without you turning into a freakazoid, and then they're able to share more with you. Now, that one-on-one time with them when they're young, and some days that was very, very difficult, and they were just all lumped together, but I really tried to make it a point to either in the evening or sometime during the day, and you know, their naps, I wasn't able to figure out to get them all napping at the same time.
Oh my word, yeah.
Sleep is non-existent for mothers. But yeah, trying to make them feel loved and appreciated and important, especially for that middle child, that they're not quite old enough to do things, and they're too old to do what the younger kids are doing, and to find that balance.
Yeah, that's really a challenge. I grew up with 3 sisters, and there was a big age gap between me and my older sister, who was 4.5 years older. Mm-hmm. And then, well, these were stepsisters, and then I had a stepsister my age who was 3 months younger, and then there was my baby sister who was 6.5 years younger. Uh-huh. So there's this huge gap between all of us, and you know, my little sister always wanted to keep up with us, and we were always wanting to keep up with my older sister, and there was just too big of a gap. So in some ways, do you think it was easier having them all together so close, so that there wasn't a huge developmental gap, or, you know, did that just make it harder?
Personally, it was easier. When I had the 5 and 6.5 years, I had the routine. I stayed, you know, on schedule as much as you can, but I was just in the routine. And in between, there's a 3-year space between 5 and 6. And so when number 6 was born, that is when it hit me that, oh, I have a lot of kids, because I had gotten out. I had gotten out of the routine. Up until then, I had usually had 2 in diapers, and, you know, just the routine. And then to have one, they're potty trained, and they're out of the crib and in their own bed and bedroom, and well, they didn't have their own bedroom, they had to share. But to have been out of that routine and then have to start it again, that was a struggle. But then I had some older kids that could kind of to help, so it wasn't all on me. Mm-hmm. But it was easier to have them close together and doing things. I don't know. You get into that pattern in your system.
You just heard them all. Yep. Yeah. My cousin has 5 girls, and she said she's just perpetually counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's right. Yep. So, speaking of number 6, your number 6 child, you had an interesting occurrence happen, and I know that that your husband's been interviewed a great deal about this, but you had a really interesting occurrence happen with her last fall. That kind of changed your family and changed changed some or created some experiences
There
for
you
your
go.
family
Yeah.
that you wouldn't have otherwise had. So why don't you tell us about that?
Okay. Well, this sweet daughter, and I just love her dearly, and she loved to wear those, those booty little short shorts that are so popular and frowned upon, though, at our house. And one evening for family home evening, we were going to head out to dinner and miniature golfing. Our youngest son, had planned the evening, and he says, we haven't been out for a while to have dinner. Let's go out and do something as a family instead of just staying home and having our little lesson and activity. So that was the plan. And when I saw what her little booty shorts on, I thought, I asked her to change if she would before we went out, and she wasn't happy to do that.
Wasn't excited about that idea.
And my husband, when he came home and he saw her and knew what we were planning to do for the evening, he knew better than to ask her. And he just went upstairs and thought he would do this in a little humorous way, and he took a pair of old jeans and cut them into short shorts. He said, he put them on and decided they weren't short enough. They weren't as short as hers, so he took them off and cut them some more, put them on. And as he was doing that, he sees this T-shirt that our older daughter had given him for Father's Day that said, "Best Dad Ever," across the chest. And at the time when he opened it, he thought, when would I ever wear that except on Father's Day? But at this time, he thought, okay, perfect shirt to wear with these shorts. As I come downstairs and my daughter sees me, she's going to laugh and say, "Oh, okay, Dad, I get it. That's really funny. Let's go change." So that was the plan. And if you're a parent, you know that things don't always go as planned.
Rarely. Do you
rarely.
planned?
You always need a plan B, C, D,
yes,
and more. As he went downstairs, she was already outside in the truck and ready to go. And so he went outside to pray around for her to see him, but her face was down in her phone. And I don't know if you've experienced that of your kids'
yes.
faces in their phones. And so he prayed it around. She didn't notice. Our son too was in the car, and they were both just on their phones texting. And so I get in the truck. My husband opens up the driver's side, and he's talking to her, but she's not looking up. She's answering, but she's not looking up. And normally he'd say, "Excuse me, can you put the dang phone down while I'm talking to you?" But he wanted this to happen naturally. And so we talked for a while, and she didn't look up. So then he gets in the truck, and he starts it up, starts heading down the road, and I'm panicking. I'm thinking, what is he doing? How far is he going to go with this? And he too.
And you live in a relatively small town where you probably know a lot of people.
Yes. Makes it, I was nervous, and he said he was thinking in his mind too, how far am I going to take this? We pull up to the restaurant. He gets out. Well, I get out first, and I'm horrified because there's a lot of people in this restaurant, and so I'm panicking, not wanting the people to see my husband. If you haven't seen the picture, yeah.
Well, we have it right there.
There we go.
So.
Yeah, it's turned into a little book. My husband wears the short shorts in this family, parenting with humor, courage, and a whole lot of love. So there he is in his little short shorts. As he stepped out of the truck, and our daughter stepped out, and she saw him for the first time, she said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, apparently short shorts are pretty darn cute, so let's go."
I can just imagine, I'm just trying to imagine going through this experience with my dad, who's very different from Scott. But I just imagine, like, as a teenage girl, how I would feel, and how I would be in a panic. I would be like, "We are not going to take me home. I'm going to change." But that's not what Miley did. Instead, she did what?
Yeah. Well, she said, "Okay, it's you that's going to be embarrassed. I'm okay with this." And I'm thinking, I'm the one here that is totally embarrassed.
Yeah.
So anyway, our son snapped that picture of his dad, put it on Twitter. We're eating. I mean, it hadn't even been 10 minutes, and our son said, oh my, that picture has 60 retweets and I've never had so many favorites.
Oh my word.
And we say, what picture? He shows us. I say, send me that picture. And I make the mistake of thinking I'm posting it on Facebook for only my friends and family to see. Because, you know, it went viral, went crazy, really, really fast.
And I remember that original post. And in fact, we've had Scott on Wisdom. He did a Wisdom Window workshop that we did a couple of months ago, and he's actually written a poem about it that is absolutely hilarious, and it's and so you can watch that as well. So how has it changed the dynamic of your family? And I know you've been asked to speak a great deal. I mean, that you've been speaking all over the place since that happened. Of course, Scott was invited on every talk show, every news channel that you can think of, and it seems to keep, the story seems to keep resurfacing. So how has it changed the dynamic, and how would you integrate, I mean, obviously it's parenting with humor, you know, I mean, and we have those funny moments, and you know, my son is very funny. I mean, he even said last night, I took him on a mommy date, we went to see Maleficent, and as we were driving home, the sun was setting, it was a beautiful sunset, and I said, gosh, I love Utah summers in the evening, and I don't like the heat, but I love the evenings. And he said, I know, Mom, you're just so nocturnal. And I thought, how does a 10-year-old know what nocturnal means? Well, anyway, and so
doing a good job, Mom.
but well, at least he'll have an extensive vocabulary. But you know, just looking at your relationship with your children, and since you have become an Ideal Life Vision coach 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, how has it changed the way that you approach parenting? Because you became a Life Vision coach as your kids were, most of your kids were out of the house by then.
Right. I became a Life Vision coach after applying the principles in my life, and seeing how it just enhanced every area of my life. And I thought, I want people to know about this, and so went through Ann Webb's coaching program and became certified to be able to share this with others. And I had the opportunity to go to India twice with Ann to share this program, to teach this at a university there just outside of New Delhi. And that was the most amazing experience. And to see these young men and young women apply this in their lives, and how in just a matter of days they could see the results, their confidence building, and their relationships getting stronger. It was amazing, the testimonials that we got back. And even last week I got a phone call from one of the students in India. I was afraid to answer my phone because I thought, is this going to cost me an arm and a leg? And that she was so excited to tell me about some things that are happening in her life, and that she was revising her life vision, and could she send it to me to look over. So
that's exciting. Well, tell us about, because Life Vision, I mean, people do a lot of vision boards, they do goal setting, you know, writing down their goals. There are a lot of different methods that people use. What makes Life Vision so different, and how does it, like applying it to relationships? Because there are several different modules. And Ann Webb is a provider on Wisdom Window as well, has put up a couple of her modules. How I see relationships and spiritual, those two modules of Ideal Life Vision, is really the foundational piece, and the pieces that don't change quite as often as the other modules. So how is this different from other goal setting techniques, and how much faster can you see results?
Oh, well, I was a vision board doer, and I still have my vision board in my bedroom, where I can see it every day. This it's like goal setting on steroids. I mean, it just heightens it. It just catapults it to a whole new level, like tenfold. Just you get minute detailed into how you want your life to look in every area of your life. There's the spiritual relationships, like you said, I feel are core, and those are the two sections that I taught in India. And I feel that those are really the core. And then there's the health and fitness and the personal development and your finance and career. And I like to throw in there the giving back, the gratitude, and how you can serve others and really set out your goals there in detail in that area too. Now I feel like I'm rambling. I forgot the question of where we were going here.
We're going to screen share for a second here, and we're going to share. This is the program on Wisdom Window, Create Your Relationship Life Vision, and this is something that Ann and Becky put together. And so take us through these modules. So if someone were to purchase it and have access to these audios and the document, what are they getting as part of this? And how long does it take to create? How often should they look at it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, give us a rundown of what this looks like.
Right. Okay. Well, on here, there's the introduction part that explains what LifeVision is in detail, so that you better understand what it is and how you can implement it into your life. And it takes you through step by step how to write your life vision and to record it, and then you listen to it. There's the relationship template, which helps you, walks you through it. Then there's some examples of others. There's questions that you can ask yourself to get you to dig deeper and find out your why. Why do you want this, and what that's going to feel like. And then there's also the sorry, here I'm trying to.
The recording and finishing.
Recording and finishing part is also a big part of it. To record your life vision, it's one thing just to write down what you want, but you record it, and to a music in the background, and it's not just any music. This is the music that creates the Mozart effect. It's the Baroque music that gets it deep into your subconscious.
Like accelerated learning.
Accelerated learning music. That's what I was looking for. And it actually changes the neural pathways of your brain. It's pretty awesome, and just a great program. And these principles, you apply them and you see real results.
So tell me, in your relationships, as you've done the relationship portion, these are any relationships, right? They can be, spouses, kids, parents, friendships,
right.
Any relationship that you want strengthened. Have you seen an example in your life where maybe a relationship was struggling, but putting it into your ideal life vision and creating those changes that changed the relationship?
Oh, I've seen that in countless people that I have coached, but in my own life, I thought I was a pretty positive person and had good relationships, a good relationship with my husband and my children, and I didn't really feel I was struggling in any area, but definitely room for improvement. And as I wrote my life vision and went through all the steps, and I recorded it and began listening to it, I didn't feel, I couldn't see the results, but my family felt it.
Oh.
My husband and my kids were saying, I could hear them saying, why is Mom so happy? What's Mom doing? Why is she so happy? And I thought, what are they talking about? I've always been happy. I've always done these things. And I that was the only change that I had made, is the life vision, and writing out how I was going to greet my kids in the morning, and the way I talked to them, and writing out in detail the one-on-one that we kind of talked about earlier, that I strive to do when they were young, and to write that out. And then when you're listening to that, and then it just comes automatic. You just find yourself, you're just living what you have written, and about the way that you want to, your ideal life of how you want to live, and all of a sudden you're actually doing it, you're living it.
Well, and I remember when I first took Ann's class, the thing that really impacted me was that, and maybe you had experienced this as well, where you think, I'm a positive person, or, I'm just not a negative person. But what you don't realize is that outwardly to the world you might be, portraying who you think you are, but your inner self-talk.
Yeah, right.
And the voice that you hear the most in your life is your own voice, whether it's in your head talking to other people or just that, that negative, you're not good enough, that goes through your head. And so with relationships in particular, that being everything in life, that if you have negative self-talk about yourself going on, like, I shouldn't have eaten those Reese's Pieces, or I shouldn't have done that. If you have that going through your head, this kind of reprograms it. So instead, what you're saying to yourself are all really positive things.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's super powerful.
Your most powerful voice is your own voice, and that's the voice you hear the most. You're listening to yourself all day long, and so you want that to be positive and building and
yeah.
There was something else that was right there that just left me, and it was so good. So when I think of it, I'm going to blurt it out.
Just blurt it out. Okay, so let's talk. You have a book, and the book's going to be available. The ebook is going to be available for download on Wisdom Window. You have your relationship ideal life vision program on Wisdom Window. What else are you and Scott up to?
Oh, we are doing a lot of speaking, and that's a lot of fun. We both like to talk, and we've been involved with teenagers in various capacities in most of our adult life, and so speaking to teens and parents and helping them to build and strengthen relationships, it's been a lot of fun. And we're also even done a couple of some corporate events, and Scott's getting a lot of interest and calling to come and speak and train and inspire, and he does that in such a fun and humorous way, and he's got some good stuff. And it's a lot of fun when we can do it together, speaking together. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and like I said, Scott was on participated in one of our workshops. We had a couple hundred people there. That was a couple months ago, and I mean, the whole audience just was laughing, and you can watch that on Wisdom Window. So I just want to kind of close that you, in all of this experience, it's not all fun and roses and cheerful happiness all the time.
No.
With a family of 7, you obviously go through some difficult trials as well. And recently you released a video that you made with your son, Sean, that was really powerful and that had a huge impact. And so why don't you tell us a little bit about it? And my caveat here is that that every family deals with challenges and struggles differently. And so what might work for your family might not work for another family, and might not work for another family, or it can inspire a family as a way of trying new things in order to tackle life's problems, and that's part of Life's Short Lessons. So why don't you tell your story a little bit, because I know you've been speaking on that lately, and and share what your experience has been. So my middle son, Sean, he came out to us about 2.5 years ago that he is gay. And that was a shocker, but not. As a mother, I had those impressions off and on as he was growing up. Now, his dad was completely blindsided. But we were able to get past our myths and our self-beliefs on that, and just sit and listen to our son. And that was heart-wrenching as I sat on the couch with him that night, 24 years old, and said, "Mom, you're the first person that I've talked to about this." And that really broke my heart. And as I listened to him and he described the years that he had contemplating committing suicide so that we would never know or find this out, is so common. And it's been quite a journey, a good journey. He is such an incredible young man, and has done some amazing things with his life, and graduated from college and it starts a master's program next month. He's been to Thailand.
serving at an orphanage for 8 months, and he's an incredible young man. I'm so blessed to have him as my son. And when he was home for Christmas, we decided to do a video, and sort of a kind of a coming out, and I guess some people have referred to it for him. But I felt we needed to do this to let people see that, you know, real families deal with hard things. A lot of people looked at us as a family that didn't have any struggles and problems. But you know, we had them, but we try to put on a happy face and to look at things in a positive way. But I feel it's important to be real, because everyone has challenges. And we did this video, and I wasn't expecting all the positive response that we had from them. I was hoping for positive, but I was expecting to have maybe, you know, some negatives or some backlash for doing it, but we haven't seen that. Just been reached out to from thousands, literally, people, and how this is helping to heal hearts and to strengthen families and relationships. And it took a while before my husband was able to come around and understand this. And he, well, just a couple of days ago, finally, we posted his story, my husband's story, a father who went from extreme homophobic to loving his son. And you know, we are speaking about it. We spoke last weekend at a big convention called North Star on this subject, and how loving our family through this, and it's a journey, and it's a journey that I'm very grateful for, very thankful for.
Well, and Sean's really blessed to be in a family that's supportive of him regardless, and that's what we need to be. Is we just need to love and take care of each other, and you know, and that's our job. That is our job, is just to love. Well, you can watch Becky, or that video with Sean on Becky's blog at Life's Short Lessons. And do you have the original file we could put up here on Wisdom Window as well under Life's Short Lessons?
It is up there.
It is up there? Okay,
it's on
okay,
there.
so
You can watch that video and go to the blog to read the story that accompanied that, and read the story that was just posted a couple of days ago of my husband's story, and share that with anyone who needs their heart healed and relationships built stronger, and share that and implement that life vision, the relationship life vision, and strengthen and build the relationships that are in your life.
Great. Okay, so to recap, we have the book, My Husband Wears the Short Shorts in This Family, and you'll be able to buy that as an ebook. We're going to put that up on Wisdom Window today. And then the Relationship Ideal Life Vision module to help build out and strengthen your relationships, which this, you know, now is the perfect time to do this. The world's kind of in chaos, and we all need more positive relationships in the world, that's for sure. And then if you would like to book Scott and Becky as speakers, then you can reach out to them at lifesshortlessons.com, and they are available. And you know, they still have that trailer kid, but he seems to be pretty relaxed about letting them go do stuff.
Thank you for having so many children. He's a good kid.
Yeah, and to end, tell us his name, because I love the story of how his name came about.
Well, you know, growing up, I always wanted 10 kids because, like I said earlier, I was number 5, the youngest of 5, and I always felt ripped off that I didn't have younger brothers and sisters. So I was going to make sure that the number 5 in my family had younger siblings. People say, well, why stop at 10? What about them? And I thought, well, you have to stop somewhere. 10. I wanted 10 kids. Well, when number 7 was born, I told my husband that it felt like 10. It was a lot more work than I had anticipated, and the family felt complete. And so we named him Sky, because sky's the limit.
Oh, perfect. I love that story. I think it's great. Okay, well, we're so happy that you came and joined us today. Thank you so much. I know you have a crazy busy schedule, and we're just thrilled that Becky is a provider with us, and Scott and Becky have just created such a positive environment for us. They're here at the office hanging out with us sometimes, and it's been really fun, and it's been really great to get to know you over the last year and a half and all of our many adventures.
Isn't she great? And we love Wisdom Window and everyone that's here. This is great. Thank you for letting us be a part of this.
You're very welcome. Okay, have a fabulous day, a fabulous week, and enjoy your summer. Talk to you soon.